job that he had.
Mm-hmm.
So what was I about to say? Well, anyway, but my mother was just totally incredible.
Right.
And actually, that had to have been in the early, maybe 1940 or something like that. And for a year, we had a Polish couple live with us, Sophie and Joseph. And she was supposed to be the cook, and he was supposed to be like the butler or whatever, handyman. I think he took a knife to her at one point, so they were let go. But I mean, Mother had
To his wife.
to his wife.
Yeah.
Mother had this incredible schedule, totally incredible.
But by that time you were in your teens, or
I was maybe 11, 12, 13, something like that. Then I got a scholarship at the Greenwich Academy when I was 13. And so I finished 8th grade with my mother, and then 9 through 12 at the academy. And so, and after I left, the school did continue, but not anywhere near as vitally, because of course there were good friends of mine who were in the school with me, and when we all got to the 8th grade, some went to the academy, some went to Rosemary Hall, whatever.
and your mother never gave you any favoritism, or she was extra hard on you because
She was terrible to me because she expected me always to get
A's.
hundreds and A's and be the best. And that was not good for a mother-daughter relationship. It was really tough. And it was interesting for me to see that whenever I started trying to teach any of you kids, I had no patience whatsoever. How could you be so thick and so dumb and stupid, I realized for the first time how Mother must have felt, but I would be very I knew I was a terrible teacher with you kids, and so I really did very little of it because I would be exasperated, with kids who
weren't catching on quickly.
Well, Mother was just amazing, just amazing.
So did she switch from her teacher role to mother role, or was she always more of a...
Yeah, no, she did. She did, but her life, I mean, what a strain.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, at the same point, while she was doing this kind of inhuman schedule, New Rochelle, 125th Street, Providence, and school, preparing the lessons, correcting the papers, doing all that kind of stuff all the time. Shopping for the food, cooking, the kitchen in the Robinson house was about the size of the square footage of this house, the kitchen. And then off of that was the laundry room. This was actually above ground. It wasn't down in the cellar.
Did she feed lunch to the kids that were there, or did they all bring their own lunches?
People would bring.
Yeah.
The kitchen was all, it opened out onto the back lawn, so it was above ground. It wasn't down in the basement. But then beyond the kitchen was this laundry room, and then another room beyond that, and then a furnace room that was the size of my living room with a furnace that had to be fed with coal. It would have been the size of my entire kitchen. Oh my God, unbelievable. And the house was usually very, very, very cold. She cooked the meals. We actually did the dishes. She didn't do the dishes afterwards. We did the dishes. We
meaning you and who else?
Well, by 1939, my sister was off at college. My brother was long since off at college, so it was mostly me. But if they were home...
So did your sister go to your mother's school at all?
She
No.
went to the academy,
Right.
and from the academy she went to Smith. And she was the
And before the academy, she was in another private.
well, she had
Elementary
started
school?
off in the academy, and then I think there were a couple of years, maybe when she was in the 7th or 8th grade, she skipped a couple of years there and went to the academy for high school. And that's why she was always 2 years ahead of herself. Because during Daddy's sickness, they weren't living in the big house. We were living in, I think, Rye, New York, in some kind of little tiny rented house. And I think they were renting out our big house. They just couldn't live there. And so I don't know how her schooling went, but somehow or other she skipped 2 years of school and then started at the academy in the 9th grade again. I mean, she'd been there as a little girl, but then...
And during the Depression, you mentioned that your Aunt Rose sometimes brought food around, and was that just for like a year or two, or?
Well, she didn't do it regularly, but when there was no food in the house,
Right.
she would bring food.
And do you like have memories of like cabbage and potatoes on the plate, or were you eating fairly well, or what do you remember?
No. And not only that, I was a pain in the ass. I hated a lot of food. I hated eggs. I hated milk. And Mother was trying to feed us, properly. I hated fish. We were Catholics. And, certainly every Friday, I mean, we didn't have fish every Friday because we probably couldn't afford it, but if we could afford it, we had fish. And then during Lent, you have 2 fast days a month, a week. And, well, anyway, I have some awful, I don't
You don't remember
any,
starving, but
no,
just
I don't remember starving, but
the
I do
food.
know that we ate very different,
Right.
ate very differently.